There comes a point in life when you realize that purpose has to be bigger than pain. Because pain is guaranteed, adversity, struggle, loss. They're all part of the process. But purpose, that's a choice. Purpose is what makes you get up when life knocks you down. It's what makes you keep pushing when everything around you says, quit. See, a lot of people want the promise, but they don't want the process. They want the reward, but they don't want the responsibility. Purpose is what separates those who simply dream from those who endure. I remember when everything I'd worked for vanished in one moment. One hit, one play, and everything I thought my life was about, gone. All the hours of sweat, the vision I had since I was a kid, the sacrifices my family made, it disappeared in a single instant. And in that moment, I had a choice. I could focus on what I lost, or I could find what remained. That's when I learned something that changed my life forever. Sometimes your purpose isn't what you do, it's what you become. When your back's against the wall and life strips away everything you thought defined you, that's when you discover who you really are. I didn't lose my purpose when I lost my dream, I just found it in a different form. My purpose wasn't to play the game, it was to impact people through the game. And when that platform was gone, the purpose was still there. It just needed a new stage. See, pain will introduce you to your true self. Everybody loves success stories, but what really inspires people is the struggle that shaped that success. Purpose isn't found in comfort, it's born in challenge. It's what gives you strength when the motivation runs out. Motivation is temporary. Purpose is permanent. Motivation might get you started, but purpose keeps you going when you don't feel like moving. Some people think that purpose is this big, dramatic revelation, but it's not always like that. Sometimes purpose whispers. It's in those quiet moments when you're alone with your thoughts, when you're asking, why did this happen to me? And that small voice says, because someone's gonna need your story one day. Purpose gives pain a reason. It takes suffering and turns it into service. There's a lot of people walking around right now with talent, potential, dreams, but they're stuck because they've tied their identity to what they do instead of who they are. When what you do changes, you think you've lost yourself, but when you're grounded in purpose, no loss can take that from you. Purpose isn't in the title, the position, or the applause. It's in the impact, the perseverance, the love you give even when you don't get it back. When life breaks your plan, it's not punishing you, it's positioning you, it's redirecting you towards something greater. I thought my purpose was football, but the truth is, football was just a platform. The real purpose was becoming a man who could stand in front of others and say, no matter what you go through, keep going. Because if the only time you're driven is when everything's perfect, then you'll never discover your real power. Purpose makes you consistent even when the outcome doesn't go your way. I've learned that pain doesn't destroy purpose, it defines it. You might not control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. And that response, how you rise, how you keep showing up, that's where purpose lives. Life will test you not to show how weak you are, but to reveal how strong your why really is. When everything around you is uncertain and the future doesn't look like what you planned, remember this: pain passes, purpose remains. Adversity is one of the greatest teachers life has to offer. Most people run from it, hide from it, or pray it never comes their way. But what if the very thing you're trying to avoid is the thing that's meant to elevate you? What if that hardship, that disappointment, that heartbreak isn't happening to you, but for you? I used to think pain was punishment. I used to ask, why me? But then life taught me a deeper question. Why not me? Because maybe I needed to go through it to become the person I was meant to be. When you face adversity, it strips away all the surface stuff, the image, the expectations, the comfort. It leaves you with just you. And in that space, you have a decision to make. Do I let this define me, or do I let it refine me? See, the beauty of adversity is that it reveals what's real. Anybody can smile when life's good, when the money's right, when the doors are opening. But what about when life doesn't go as planned? When you give everything you've got, and it still falls apart? That's when character shows up. That's when growth begins. I remember lying in that hospital bed, realizing my dream was gone, and for a while I couldn't see anything good in it. But over time, I realized that adversity was not my enemy. It was my assignment. It was shaping me in ways comfort never could. Pain has a way of producing perspective. It humbles you, but it also strengthens you. It breaks you open so the light can get in. The very thing I thought was sent to destroy me became the thing that developed me. We live in a world where everybody wants results, but nobody wants resistance. But resistance is what builds strength. You don't grow muscle without tension. You don't grow faith without pressure, and you don't grow character without challenge. Adversity teaches you things success never will. It teaches patience when the breakthrough doesn't come overnight. It teaches gratitude when you realize how much you still have even after losing so much. And it teaches resilience, the kind that says, no matter how many times I fall, I'm getting back up. I started to see that adversity was a gift. It doesn't feel like one when you're in it, but it is. It's the kind of gift that comes wrapped in pain, but inside is purpose. When you learn to embrace it instead of resist it, everything changes. Because now you're not asking, why did this happen to me? You're asking, what is this trying to teach me? That shift right there, that's growth. Sometimes the blessing isn't in what you get, it's in what you survive. Every struggle leaves something behind, a lesson, a strength, a new level of empathy. Adversity gives you the ability to see the world differently, to connect with people who are hurting because you've been there too. You start to realize that maybe the storm wasn't meant to sink you. It was meant to prepare you to help somebody else weather theirs. I've met people who've gone through things far worse than anything I've faced, and the common thread among those who rise above is perspective. They stop looking at adversity as an interruption and start seeing it as instruction. They understand that pain is part of the process. And when you embrace that, adversity loses its power to defeat you. Because now, instead of running from it, you walk through it knowing that something good is being built in you, even if you can't see it yet. Every challenge, every loss, every heartbreak, it's all preparing you for something you can't yet imagine. You may not understand it right now, but one day you'll look back and realize that what you thought was breaking you is actually building you. Character over comfort. That's one of the hardest lessons life will ever teach you. Because comfort feels good, it feels safe, it's predictable. But character is forged in the fire. It's built when you choose what's right over what's easy, when you keep your word even when nobody's watching, when you stay disciplined long after the excitement fades. Everybody wants success, but few want the struggle that molds you into the kind of person who can handle success. There was a time when I thought talent was everything. I thought if you worked hard enough, if you trained long enough, you could outrun failure. But life doesn't work like that. Life will test your values, not your abilities. Because character is what holds you together when talent isn't enough. And when that test comes, when the lights go out, the crowd disappears, and nobody's clapping, you find out who you really are. It's easy to have integrity when everything's going your way. It's easy to talk about faith, perseverance, and strength when you're standing on the mountain. But character is proven in the valley. It's proven when you're tired, frustrated, disappointed, and life asks you, do you still believe? Do you still care? Do you still give your best even when no one's watching? That's where true greatness is formed. I've learned that you can't fake consistency. You can't fake effort. Sooner or later, the truth reveals itself. The question is, when the pressure comes, do you fold or do you stand? Because the reality is comfort doesn't create change, discomfort does. Every time you push through discomfort, you're building something on the inside that can't be shaken by circumstances. You're developing a kind of strength that can't be taken from you. There were moments when I wanted to quit. Moments when I thought, man, what's the point? But then I realized that character is doing the right thing long after the feeling has left. It's showing up on the days you don't feel like it. It's keeping your commitment not because it's convenient, but because it's who you are. Comfort will always try to convince you to take the shortcut, to ease up, to settle. But character whispers, stay the course. When you live with character, you stop chasing outcomes and start chasing excellence. You stop performing for approval and start living for purpose. Because character is internal, it's not built on applause, it's built on principles. It's about being the same person in the dark that you are in the light. The world will tell you to compromise, to do whatever it takes to win. But what good is success if you lose yourself in the process? What good is a trophy if your integrity is gone? Every great person I've ever met had one thing in common. They didn't let comfort determine their destiny. They understood that growth requires grit and purpose requires perseverance. You can't become exceptional by staying comfortable. You have to step into the uncomfortable, the uncertain, the unfamiliar. That's where your real potential lies. Sometimes character means walking away from what looks good because it's not right. Sometimes it means forgiving when it's easier to stay angry. Sometimes it means working in silence, trusting that your effort will speak when the time is right. And when you do that consistently, when you keep showing up with integrity and purpose, you build something unshakable. Because at the end of the day, titles fade, achievements fade, applause fades. But who you become, that lasts forever. Gratitude changed everything for me. Not the kind of gratitude that shows up when life feels easy or when everything's falling into place, but the kind that has to fight to exist. The kind that shows up in the middle of pain, confusion, and loss. Because when you can learn to be grateful in every season, not just the good ones, that's when your perspective shifts. Gratitude doesn't mean you're ignoring the struggle. It means you've decided to look for light even when everything around you feels dark. When I lost what I thought was my purpose, I had every reason to be bitter. I had every reason to ask, why me? I had worked my whole life for one dream, and in a moment, it was gone. But somewhere in that process, I started to realize something powerful. Life doesn't owe us anything. Every breath we get, every day we wake up, it's all a gift. And the more I focused on what I still had, the less power my pain had over me. Gratitude didn't erase the hurt, but it gave the hurt meaning. It gave me a reason to keep going. Gratitude is a decision. It's a mindset that says, even if it didn't work out the way I wanted, I'm still thankful for the chance to try. It's easy to celebrate when life gives you what you asked for, but real gratitude shows up when life gives you something you didn't expect. That's the kind that builds depth. That's the kind that develops peace. Because gratitude doesn't just change your attitude, it changes your vision. You stop seeing what's missing and start seeing what's possible. There's something powerful about choosing to be thankful when there's nothing in front of you to be thankful for. Because gratitude and faith go hand in hand. You start to say, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I'm thankful anyway. That mindset prepares you for more. It opens your heart to growth. It allows you to appreciate the small things, the people, the moments, the lessons that you used to overlook. When you live with gratitude, you stop chasing happiness and start living with joy. Happiness depends on what happens. Joy depends on perspective. I learned that joy can exist in the middle of hardship. You can still laugh. You can still love. You can still find peace even when everything isn't perfect. Gratitude is what allows that to happen. It's the foundation of joy, the anchor in chaos, the quiet reminder that no matter how bad it gets, there's still something worth holding on to. People ask me sometimes, how did you keep going after everything that happened? The answer is simple but not easy. I kept finding reasons to be thankful. I was thankful I could still breathe, thankful I could still walk, thankful I could still make an impact even if it wasn't in the way I originally imagined. Gratitude gave me strength when nothing else did. Because when you focus on what you have, what you lost stops controlling you. And here's what I've learned. Gratitude and growth go together. You can't grow without gratitude. If you're always focused on what's missing, you'll miss what's meaningful. But when you appreciate the present, even the painful parts, you prepare yourself for the future. Gratitude unlocks peace, and peace gives you power. So, no matter where you are, no matter what you're facing, never let your situation steal your appreciation. Because gratitude doesn't just change how you see life, it changes how you live it. One of the greatest lessons life ever taught me is that it's not about me. It's not about what I can gain, how much I can achieve, or how far I can go. It's about how many people I can impact along the way. Because when the lights fade and the applause stops, the only thing that really matters is the difference you made in someone else's life. The moment I stopped living for me and started living to serve others, everything changed. My pain stopped being a prison and became a platform. My struggle stopped being something to hide and became something to share. It's easy to get caught up chasing success, recognition, or status. We all want to win. We all want to make something of ourselves. But real fulfillment doesn't come from what you accomplish. It comes from who you help along the way. Serving others gives your pain purpose. It takes the very thing that tried to break you and turns it into a bridge for somebody else. Because there's somebody out there who needs to see that it's possible to survive what they're going through. There's somebody waiting for the story you're scared to tell. I learned that the greatest gift you can give is not your success, but your scars. People connect to authenticity more than achievement. When you're willing to be real about your journey, the highs, the lows, the doubts, you give others permission to believe that they can make it too. Sometimes your greatest ministry is your mess. Sometimes your greatest impact comes not from what went right, but from what went wrong and how you responded. Serving beyond yourself doesn't always mean standing on a stage or reaching millions. It can mean being there for one person who's ready to give up. It can mean encouraging someone who's been overlooked. It can mean showing up for your family, your teammates, your coworkers, even when you're tired. Service isn't about position, it's about posture. It's about having a heart that says, if my story, my time, or my energy can help somebody else, then it's worth it. When I started speaking, I didn't do it for fame or attention. I did it because I saw people who were hurting like I once was, and I couldn't stay silent. I realized that if what I'd been through could give someone hope, then it wasn't wasted. And that's the beauty of service. It redeems your pain. It transforms it into something powerful. You start to see that everything you've endured wasn't just for you. It was meant to equip you to serve others better. When you live with that kind of mindset, life takes on a different meaning. You stop chasing success and start chasing significance. You stop worrying about being seen and start focusing on making an impact. Because impact outlives fame. Service outlasts recognition. The legacy you leave won't be written in titles or trophies. It'll be written in people's hearts. And the crazy thing is, the more you serve, the more you grow. The more you give, the more fulfilled you feel. Because life was never meant to be lived with closed hands. It was meant to be lived open, ready to give, ready to lift, ready to love. When you make that shift, when you start living to serve beyond yourself, you discover something powerful. Joy isn't found in getting, it's found in giving. Your story, your pain, your journey, they're not just yours to carry, they're yours to share, to use, to serve. Because at the end of the day, it's not about what you went through, it's about what you do with it.